Welcome to Horse Racing Gamer, where champions are made.
YouTube, what's going on? Horse Racing Gamer here. Welcome to my predictions and top picks for the running of the 154th Belmont Stakes. It's a field of 8 going 1.5 miles here on the dirt. This is going to be a very, very tough race, I think, for some of these horses. They're running an extra 400 meters, aka extra 2 furlongs, longer than the Kentucky Derby for those that were in the Kentucky Derby, which is almost about half the field. So I expect this to be a very tough race, depending on where all these horses like to settle. And it'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top. I don't think there's a clear winner, even though We the People is going off as the heavy favorite at 2-1. I still think it's a pretty wide open race, and I'm going to explain why as we go through my breakdown of each horse and what I think their chances are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the #1 horse and the favorite for the Belmont Stakes, We the People. So starting off with the 2-1 favorite, We the People. His last performance was a win at the Grade 3 Peter Pan Stakes. Obviously, if you watch that race, this horse is definitely going to go to the front, and I expect him to be the pace setter. I don't think any other horse in this field is going to be able to overtake him and challenge him for the lead, at least for a majority of the race until we get probably to the last 2 turns. But I think he's definitely going to want to settle himself at the front, maybe leading by about a length or 2. It seems to be where he's most comfortable. I also expect him to pull away in the stretch if everything goes according to plan. He won that Peter Pan Stakes by 7 lengths in the end. So clearly this horse, I think, has the endurance to stay out in front and to stay strong out in front. I'm not a huge fan of the 2-1 tag, though, for him. So I don't even know if I'm going to play a win wager myself. I think the exotics are looking much more appetizing here for this race because I still believe it's wide open. And despite the fact I think We the People looks the strongest horse for this race, for this distance, and circumstances alike, I'm still not sure if that's going to be enough depending on how this race unfolds. We have a couple of horses who I've deemed kind of not as deep closers, but obviously Rich Strike, a couple of others I'm going to mention. I think if they're able to save ground and if they still have enough in the tank, they could have a late rally. So we could end up seeing possibly 3, maybe 4 horses at the line, depending on how these horses handle, this distance. Again, they're running much longer than most of them have ever ran in their careers, so I'm sure it's going to be taxing. And at the end of the day, the horses that still run their race properly, the jockeys keep them under control, make sure they're not exerting too much energy. I think those horses may have a chance to challenge We the People towards the ending stages of this race. But he's going off at 2-1. Like I said, I don't like that for any win bets, but I'm surely going to be looking into the exotics for exactas and trifectas. I like this horse. I don't really have any gripes about him. Like I said, I think he's the strongest horse in the field, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him win this Belmont if everything goes according to plan. That's the one horse, We the People. The horse that drew post position 2 is Skippy Longstocking, going off at 20-1. Manuel Franco will be on board. Last race performance was the 5th place result at the Preakness Stakes. I don't really have much for Skippy Longstocking. In my notes I have can't say much, may rally at the end depending on the pace. Will definitely be trailing towards the back. This horse does not like to get out to a super fast start. So Skippy, I think if you're looking for maybe a big payoff and maybe one of the exactas or trifectas, especially maybe even a super, I think that would be the best route to go for Skippy Longstocking. But other than that, I'm not really expecting much from this horse in the Belmont. I think the distance is going to be too much, and I haven't seen anything super crazy or special from Skippy. But nonetheless, anything can happen. The biggest long shot in the field next to Golden Glider. Like I said, not really looking to see anything out of the ordinary from Skippy Longstocking, but we had Rich Strike win the Kentucky Derby, so who knows. Nonetheless, that is the 2 horse going off at 20-1, Skippy Longstocking. The only gal in this field is the 3 horse Nest, ridden by Jose Ortiz. She's going off at 8-1 with her 2nd place finish in the Kentucky Oaks as her last race. I actually like Nest for this race. I think she'll settle in a few lengths off the lead at the beginning, and she'll begin to rally halfway through the race. That's exactly how she ran the Oaks. Now, obviously, with a longer distance here in this Belmont Stakes, maybe it'll take her a little bit longer to get herself going, but I think she has good endurance and closing. I expect her to be one of the stronger horses and finishing at the later stages of this race based off of her Kentucky Oats performance. I like her tag at 8-1. I would say this is more so what I'm looking for. If you were going to play a win wager, I think her price where it is right now would be nice, and especially again if you put her into some exotics, I think that could be a really nice day for you if you're able to succeed on that. So I like Nest a lot. I think she, like We the People, has a good chance of being at the line when this is all said and done. And I'm definitely planning on using her in some of my exotics. So that is the 3 horse going off at 8-1. We are now here to the 4 horse, who is the Kentucky Derby winner, Rich Strike, going off at a decent tag of 7-2. Sonny Leone again will be on board with this horse. Eric Reed, the trainer, has confirmed as far as his horse's running style that he just does not like to run at the front. So expect Rich Strike again to be at the back of the field, maybe even the deep closer. It depends, but I don't expect him to see him anywhere near the front. I thought Eric Reed and the Connections Evolved made the smart and the right decision in keeping Rich Strike out of the Preakness, despite the fact that the horse looks great and he seemed like he was in good spirits. He was very, very tired, trainer and Connections say, after that Derby. So I think that Preakness would have been asking too much for him, and I don't think a lot of people have taken that into consideration if they've kind of grilled him, or more so grilled the Connections about keeping him out of the Preakness. According to them, the horse was drained after that Kentucky Derby race, understandably so, considering how far off the lead he had to come to win that race in the end. So I'm excited to see him here in the Belmont. Rich Strike is the question mark. Either he's going to have another performance like the Derby and be at the line at the end to challenge We the People and maybe Ness, according to at least who I'm looking at, and even Mo Donegal, or this distance is going to be too much for him and he's not going to be able to show that late closing speed. Now, it's going to be amazing if he can sit 6, 7, 8 lengths off the lead and still be able to rally to finish near the front, or maybe even win this Belmont Stakes. Again, big question mark for Rich Strike. He could either have a great day or could have a bad day. So I'm not sure where I lean. I, of course, would love to see him win this race. I love the story. I love the connections. I love the trainer, who seems like a really humble guy, the groom. Everybody behind Rich Strike just seems like the greatest group of people that you would want to support and rally behind when it comes to a horse, when it comes to a story that we've been able to follow here with Rich Strike. I love everybody involved. Everybody seems to work well together. Clearly, it seems to be a tight-knit unit, and I think, we don't get to see that often in horse racing in these days. So I'm hoping that Rich Strike can prove the doubters and the naysayers wrong, but again, still a big question mark with his distance and his running style. We're going to see if he'll be able to challenge at the end. Nonetheless, that's the 4 horse Rich Strike, your Kentucky Derby winner, going off at 7-2. We're here with the 5 horse Beautiful Gray Creative Minister, going off at 6-1. His last result was obviously a 3rd place finish in that Preakness Stakes. Brian Hernandez Jr. will be on board. What I have here for Creative Minister, he has a similar running style to Skippy in regards to wanting to kind of settle himself in at the back. He has a decent deep stretch rally for him to have finished 3rd in that Preakness, but again, the distance is going to be a big what if for I think a lot of horses in this field, with the exception of We the People and maybe Nest. I'm not sure how the rest of these horses are going to handle going so much longer than they've had to run. It wouldn't surprise me, to see Creative Minister mix it up at the front once we get closer towards the final 2 turns. I'm not really sure where this horse is going to finish. I think, like I said, depending on how the pace is, if the pace is slow, I think Creative Minister will have a lot more left in the tank to have a decent stretch run. But if it's a fast pace, I'm not sure if Creative Minister has the same closing speed as a Rich Strike or maybe another horse in this field to close that gap. So I'm not saying I don't think the horse has no chance of winning. That's not the case. I think a slow pace will suit this horse better to have a chance at the end. If it's a fast pace, I think he'll just kind of get lost in the shuffle of the pack and maybe get up there for a 4th or 3rd, possibly fall down lower than that. He is going off at 6-1, so the public seems to think a little bit highly of him, and it's just my personal opinion. It doesn't mean I'm saying everybody else is wrong. I'm not sure because of how this pace could or may not go. I think that's what's going to dictate where Creative Minister finishes. So again, he's another horse I would say is a question mark for me, but nonetheless, that's the 5 horse going off at 6-1, Creative Minister. The next horse on this list is technically my 3rd selection. I still do like We the People as a 1. I like Nest as 2. And I like Mo Donegal here as 3. Even though Mo finished 6th in the Kentucky Derby, he did have a little bit of traffic that he had to contend with, which I think kind of interfered with his stretch run. He did come out slow in his race at Aqueduct, which I didn't think was particularly well. He doesn't appear to want the lead or anything to do with the front, so expect Mo to be sitting a couple lengths off. I like Mo. I think if he has clear space to run and to go for it. I think Mo will be strong in the end. I think he's one of those horses in this field that does have the endurance to run the 12 furlongs, this mile and a half. So I don't expect to see him tire out much. I just think he needs to be in the right position to make his run when all is said and done. And actually, it's 5th in the Kentucky Derby, not 6th. I apologize for that. Irad Ortiz Jr. will be on board, another Todd Pletcher horse. Like I said, I think Mo would be perfectly suited for this race, but the circumstances that happened during the race, the pace, where he ends up settling in the beginning stages, which I expect to be at the back, all that's going to determine where he'll be at the finish. But as long as he doesn't run into any traffic as we come around turns 3 and most importantly, around turn 4 into the stretch, as long as he has a clear lane in front of him, I think he has a very, very fair shot at catching up to We the People, who I still expect to be the pace setter, and maybe Nest will be in that mix as well. So like I said, Mo Donegal is my 3rd selection here. Him and Ness, I think, can kind of go hand in hand depending on which horse you may prefer or like better, but nonetheless I think Mo has a very good chance of getting through this race, having the endurance to be there when all is said and done. That's a 6-horse Mo Donegal going off at 5-2. Not bad, not anything I'd want to play obviously in a win wager, but definitely looking for him in my exotics to say the least. We have 2 more horses coming up to round out this Belmont Stakes field. The 7-horse Golden Glider going off at 20-1, another long shot in this field. His last performance was a 2nd place finish in the Peter Pan Stakes behind the favorite in the Belmont Stakes, We the People. I'm not really familiar with this horse and the connections involved, so I can't say all too much, but here in my notes I have that he likes to run obviously in the mid-pack, about 4 or 5 lengths off the lead. He tried to rally in deep stretch, but he was too far away to catch We the People. So I think based off of that Peter Pan Stakes, I don't expect to see Golden Glider catching We the People. I think there are going to be a couple of other horses in this field like a Mo Donegal and Nest, maybe a late charging Rich Strike, that'll be able to show a little bit better speed in the closing stages of this race. So I think his price tag for where he's at makes sense. Anything, of course, can happen, but like I said, I don't know too much about the horse, but based off of what I saw in that Peter Pan Stakes, I think this is going to be a tougher field even for Golden Glider to go up against as well. And I don't expect him to be finishing 2nd behind We the People, again, with a Nest, a Mo Donegal, and Rich Strike, and possibly even Creative Minister, depending, like I said, on how this pace goes. I don't think Golden Glider is going to be in the top 3 or even the top 4. So nonetheless, he's going off at 20-1. If you're going to use him, of course, use him in an exotic. I think that'll be the smartest idea. But that is the 7-horse Golden Glider. And last but not least, to round off this Belmont Stakes field is the 8-horse Barber Road, going off at 10-1. I like that tag on him. Finished 6th in the Kentucky Derby. Joel Rosario will be on board, a John Ortiz trained horse. Barber Road, from what I've seen, clearly a closer. I expect him to be off the pace. I didn't really write much else about him because, again, I think Barber Road is a horse, maybe like a Creative Minister and a Golden Glider, where I think their chances to finish anywhere in the top 3 is really going to depend on the pace. I think a slow pace gives these longer shot horses a chance, but if the pace is going to be anywhere from medium to fast, I don't expect the Barber Roads, the Golden Gliders, or the Skippy Longstockings to really have much of a shot in this race. Beautiful horses, all of them are, but again, I just don't see Barber Road being able to contend with the likes of We the People, Ness, Mo Donegal, maybe even Rich Strike again if Rich is able to have enough stamina to have another late closing rally like he did in the Derby. So there's really not much else to say about Barber. I like his price tag. Again, another horse I think you can put into your exotics. Maybe, again, depending on if it's a slow pace, he could end up finishing somewhere near 3rd or 4th for your tries or your supers. But outside of that, I don't really have much confidence in Barber Road, but it wouldn't surprise me if that horse can finish, like I said, in that 3rd or 4th position, depending on if this pace is slow. I think these horses that don't have much of a chance, at least in my opinion, I think they need a slower pace in order to have a little bit more energy to have that rally at the end. But if it's going to be a medium to fast pace, I don't think these horses are going to be able to keep up with those front runners. So that is the 8-horse Barber Road. And ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude at least my predictions for the Belmont Stakes. I apologize that this was a little bit longer, but I at least wanted to give my best rundown of each horse based off of watching several of their races and just trying to get a general idea of how I think they're going to handle this very long, very tough and enduring 1.5 miles here on the dirt in New York. for the Belmont Stakes. You guys feel free to let me know yours in the comments section below. Who are you looking at? Who do you like? Who do you think is going to set the pace if it's not We the People? Who do you think will keep up with him as far as the lead is concerned if, you know, you do expect him to set the pace? Whichever side of the coin you're on is fine. I'm very curious to see what everybody else is kind of thinking in regards to this Belmont Stakes, and what are you looking at as far as any tries, supers, exactas, if you wish to leave that in the comments section below. We'll take it from there. I appreciate you guys' love and support. If you're new, make sure to subscribe here to this channel, mainly for horse racing gaming, but again, as I've been saying in my recent discussion videos, I am going to get into covering horse racing more, especially for the bigger events. Obviously, I'm only doing North American races right now, but I do want to expand outside of that. I do want to cover the races in other regions of the world. I just obviously need to do my research. So those I think will be coming over the course of this summer. Like I said, we mainly do horse racing gaming content on this channel, and I will try my best to stream all the biggest races. I will be streaming the Belmont this Saturday, so if you're watching this video on Thursday or Friday, or even maybe earlier Saturday, I will be streaming along, I should say, with the Belmont Stakes. Obviously, most people know we can't show the races. We'll get copyrighted and our channels can get taken down. But I will be streaming, watching obviously on a secondary device, and I will kind of be doing my play-by-play like I did for the Preakness Stakes a couple of weeks ago. So appreciate you guys' love and support on the channel as always. Thank you for watching. I guess, like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you would like to do so. Until next time, Horse Racing Gamer signing out. Hope you have a great, fantastic day. We'll see you Saturday for the Belmont Stakes. Goodbye.
Welcome to Horse Racing Gamer, where champions are made.